Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your home for all the breaking Liverpool news. Today, we've got an absolute roller coaster for you Reds fans. Liverpool have smashed the British transfer record with a jaw-dropping $125 million signing of Alexander Isak. But that's not all. We'll dive into the shocking collapse of Marc Guehi's deal, the surprise $47 million exit of Harvey Elliott, and the drama behind Isak's private jet dash before the announcement. Stay tuned. This is deadline day. Chaos like you've never seen before. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Liverpool confirmed British record $125 million Alexander Isak transfer from Newcastle United. Liverpool complete British record $125 million deal for Alexander Isak, with the Sweden striker signing a 6-year deal on transfer deadline day. Liverpool have completed the signing of Alexander Isak from Newcastle United for a British record fee of $125 million. The Sweden international has penned a 6-year deal to become the most expensive capture in Anfield history, and the move ends a summer-long saga at St. James's Park that culminated with strike action from the player Isak, who takes the number 9 shirt, has since flown out of Merseyside to meet up with his Sweden colleagues ahead of their World Cup qualifiers with Slovenia and Kosovo on September 5th and 8th, respectively. The Reds offered $110 million at the start of August, but saw their opening gambit rejected for the one-away Isak, with the Magpies desperate to sign 2 frontmen before considering a sale for their star man, who they rated at $150 million. After missing out on Benjamin Sexo, who joined Manchester United for $73 million, Newcastle signed Germany under-21 striker Nick Woltemade on Friday for a fee of around $65 million from Stuttgart, which was understood to have been the catalyst for a softening of the stance on Isak by the club's owners, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. Newcastle had initially wanted $150 million for Isak, but after the player made it clear he would not play again for the club, the key decision-makers on Tyneside and in Riyadh were eventually forced to return to the negotiating table with the Premier League champions. Talks resumed on Sunday evening with a fee of $125 million eventually struck between the two, which allowed Newcastle to reach a $55 million agreement with Brentford for Yoane Wissa, who had released a detailed statement earlier in the day outlining why he wanted to leave the Bees. After discussions opened in mid-July between the two parties, Isak privately communicated his desire to leave for Merseyside and was left off their preseason tour of the Far East by citing a minor injury. The decision to return to training later that month by using the facilities of former club, Real Sociedad, was a controversial one that was met with fury from fans in the Northeast. Isak has trained alone at Newcastle's Benton facility ever since, and has played no part in either the pre-season schedule or the 3 games of the new Premier League season, and despite posturing over retaining the 25-year-old, it was eventually accepted that a late move to Liverpool was best for all concerned. Alexander Isak, first words after Liverpool transfer as motivation behind record deal explained. Alexander Isak speaks for the first time as a Liverpool player following completion of his $125 million move from Newcastle United. Alexander Isak says he has joined Liverpool to win trophies and create history after his British record $125 million move from Newcastle United was confirmed on transfer deadline day. After seeing their initial offer of $110 million rebuffed at the start of August, talks resumed on Sunday before an agreement was reached at $125 million to bring an end to a summer-long saga that had seen Isak publicly and privately agitate to leave St. James's Park while also going on strike to force it through. After 3 years on Tyneside, Isak arrives on Merseyside as the most expensive player of all time in British football and the Sweden international, who is now set to link up with his national colleagues for their upcoming World Cup qualifiers, says he can't wait to get started with the Premier League champions. It's a mixture of what the club is building, but what they're building on top of what the club already is, Isak told. LiverpoolFC.com, the history of the club, Me getting the chance to be a part of this, I want to create history. I want to win trophies. That's ultimately the biggest motivation for me, and I feel like this is the perfect place for me to grow even further and to take my game to the next level and help the team as well. I feel like this is the next step for me in my career. I'm super happy that I've been given this chance, and I'm very motivated to do something well with it. Isak added, "It's so exciting." I think it's something difficult to put into words. I think you have to experience it and then explain. I think we all know what Liverpool is about, the fans and what they're about as well. So, yeah, looking forward to getting to experience that. Leaked Marc Guehi video shows just how close Liverpool transfer was to being done. Crystal Palace were on the brink of selling Marc Guehi to Liverpool on transfer deadline day before the deal was dramatically called off at the 11th hour. Crystal Palace had already prepared a farewell video honoring skipper Marc Guehi before abandoning his switch to Liverpool at the last minute. Footage has surfaced featuring moments from the defender's time with the Eagles, complete with club branding, and concluding with the words, "Thank you, Skip." Palace manager Oliver Glasner emerged victorious in his standoff with chief executive Steve Parish as Marc Guehi's transfer to Liverpool collapsed in dramatic fashion. The FA Cup winning boss had threatened to resign if his captain was offloaded. Guhei had already completed his medical examination in London prior to his anticipated switch to Anfield following the South London club's agreement of a fee with Liverpool. A deal sheet had been submitted as the transfer window closed at 7 p.m. before everything fell apart when Parish called off the move. The Eagles witnessed their pursuit of Brighton center-back Igor Julio collapse, but managed to secure 19-year-old defender J.D. Canvo from Toulouse. This was not considered sufficient to bridge the significant void Guehi's departure would have created, despite the England international having only 12 months left on his current deal. Glasner held discussions with Guhei, who has conducted himself impeccably throughout the saga on Monday and conveyed his wish to retain him for the rest of the campaign. That sentiment was reportedly accepted, and whilst the player harbored ambitions of departing, he is not anticipated to cause disruption given Liverpool's likely return. Glasner's position may have been strengthened following Bayer Leverkusen's decision to dismiss Erik ten Hag after just 2 league matches, sparking rumors of a move to the Bundesliga. However, Glasner made his stance clear on Sunday. "I told the chairman we have to keep Marc if we want to play a successful season," Glasner shared with BBC Sport, following Crystal Palace's victory over Aston Villa. "We have no chance to find the right replacement in one day. We all agreed that we just sell Marc if we have the right replacement in the building. We wanted a replacement by 1st July. It is 31 August and we have no replacement. We have this agreement, so it is clear from me. He is such a crucial player. He is one of our key players. He is our captain." Last summer, Palace rejected an offer of as much as 65 million for Guhei from Newcastle United. However, this time around, Parish initially believed that they had to cash in if their valuation was met, given that the defender had no plans to extend his contract. What sparked Marc Guehi transfer collapse as Liverpool suffer deadline day blow? Liverpool fail in a late move for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi as his 35 million transfer dramatically falls through on deadline day. Liverpool's 35 million agreement for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi has collapsed after a dramatic transfer deadline day at Selhurst Park. The Reds submitted an offer of 35 million on Saturday with a 10% sell-on clause, and while the FA Cup holders had been holding out for 40 million, an accord was eventually struck on Monday to allow Guhei to undergo his medical before the 7 p.m. cutoff point. After completing the tests in London, Guhei had appeared set to sign a 5-year contract at Anfield, but Palace's own attempts to secure a replacement were derailed when Brighton and Hove Albion's Julio Igor, who was on the cusp of a loan deal, was approached by West Ham United, which forced a change of heart. That had a knock-on effect for Guehi's move to Anfield, with Eagles boss Oliver Glasner insisting that a replacement of sufficient quality must be found before the club agreed to sell the England international to the Premier League champions. Palace were able to confirm. French youth international J.D. Canvo on a 4-year deal, but the 19-year-old is not viewed as someone who can directly succeed Guhei at this stage of his career. Liverpool had submitted a deal sheet to allow them a further 2 hours to complete the transfer after the 7 p.m. deadline, but the agreement is now dead in the water, leaving Guehei's dream move in tatters. It's understood frank conversations between Parish and Glasner took place over the transfer on Monday, with the manager who guided the Eagles to the FA Cup in May, the first piece of major silverware in their history, eventually getting his wish to retain the defender. With Palace embarking on a historic first-ever season in Europe following qualification to the Conference League last week, Glasner was determined to keep hold of his talisman at the back, leaving Premier League leaders Liverpool unable to further bolster their ranks. The Reds have retained Joe Gomez despite late interest from AC Milan, meaning they still have 4 center-halves to compete for places, having added Italian teenager Giovanni Leone from Parma in mid-August in a 26 million deal. With Wataru Endo also capable of filling in, the club feel they are well stocked in that department, despite the failure to secure Guhei, and attention will now turn to whether or not the Premier League champions will return in January or wait until the end of the campaign when they can sign the Three Lions star as a free agent. Speaking after Sunday's 3-0 win over Aston Villa, Glasner said Guhei would not be allowed to leave without a player of sufficient experience arriving on deadline day. The Eagles boss said, "We had a meeting in March and we had an agreement that we're just selling Marc if we have the right replacement. And we wanted to have this replacement at the beginning of the season, the preseason, to be independent from this situation." Harvey Elliott transfer confirmed as 47 million Liverpool exit explained. Harvey Elliott has left Liverpool to sign for Aston Villa, switching to the Premier League side on an initial loan basis after making 149 appearances for his boyhood club Liverpool. Has confirmed that midfielder Harvey Elliott has signed for Aston Villa on a season-long loan deal. It includes an obligation to buy in the summer of 2026 in a deal that will net the Reds around $47 million, $35 million. An exit was sanctioned for the Liverpool number 19 after he fell down the pecking order at Anfield during Arne Slot's first campaign at the helm. Elliott made clear at the start of the summer that he wanted to move on in order to better his chances of representing England at next year's World Cup. Elliott made a total of 149 appearances for Liverpool after arriving from Fulham. He scored 15 times in that period and provided 17 assists for his teammates, with his transfer exit including buyback and sell-on clauses. During his spell on Merseyside, Elliott represented his boyhood club and celebrated winning the Premier League title. He joins another English team and will work under Unai Emery. RB Leipzig was also interested in Elliott after it sold Xavi Simons to Tottenham this week. However, the German side was unable to get a deal over the line. Spurs were also credited with an interest in Elliott after missing out on Nottingham Forest attacking midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White and lost James Maddison to injury. However, it moved for Simons instead. "If I had it my way, I would be here for the rest of my career. It's as simple as that," Elliott told the Anfield Wrap in July. "I love everything about the club, but at the same time, I kind of need to be selfish and see what's best for me. I have big ambitions. I want to get in the World Cup squad. I want to keep being successful as a player. It's something I still need to review. I need to have a talk with everyone and review the situation. We have many new players who have come in, so whether it blocks the path for me, I'm not sure. It's something I need to have a look at and decide." With Alexander Isak arriving from Newcastle United, Liverpool has 5 senior forward options for the upcoming season. The Swede, plus Mohamed Salah, Cody Gakpo, Hugo Ekitike, and Federico Chiesa. Arne Slot can also call upon Florian Wirtz in his forward line and young talent Rio Ngumoha. At the start of the summer, he said Liverpool was looking for extra weapons, and a spending spree of more than 500 million has certainly delivered. Why Alexander Isak left Liverpool immediately via jet before transfer was announced. Alexander Isak completed his $176 million move from Newcastle to Liverpool on transfer deadline day and has already left the club to link up with the Sweden national. Team Alexander Isak has already departed Liverpool moments after completing his British record move. The Swedish striker secured a $176 million transfer from Newcastle to Anfield on deadline day. But by the time the deal was formally announced, he was on a jet out of the city. He spent the entire day on Merseyside finalizing a deal that included a medical examination and fulfilling media obligations. Whilst Isak might believe he deserves some respite after confirming his transfer, there will be no such luxury. The 25-year-old immediately headed to the airport to catch a flight to Sweden and join up with his national squad for the international break. Sweden face Slovenia and Kosovo in World Cup qualifiers over the coming fortnight. Speaking before Isak's Anfield switch was announced, manager Jon Dahl Tomasson said, "I spoke to Alex yesterday and this morning. We expect him here today. He is extremely professional and has a good mentality. He is very stable and controlled. We have no worries. He's not able to play for 90 minutes, but he can be a game changer." Isak has been absent from football entirely for 3 months, yet he retains his spot in the national team squad. The forward has earned 52 caps for his country since his 2017 debut and netted 16 goals. Following confirmation as a Liverpool player, Isak said, "I feel amazing. It's been a long journey to get here, but I'm super happy to be a part of this team, this club, and everything it stands for. It's something I'm proud of, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm just happy it's done and that I can get back to work. I'm looking forward to seeing my teammates and the fans and getting back out there." He added, "I think I have a lot to give. I think I have a lot to improve. I'm a striker, but I always want to give as much as possible to the team. Mainly goals, but much more than that as well. I want to win everything. Yeah, as simple as that." Whilst Isak will now be concentrating on his international duties, he will undoubtedly be eagerly anticipating his Liverpool bow. The Reds' upcoming Premier League fixture sees them face newly promoted Burnley on Sunday 14th December. Isak could subsequently make his Champions League debut for his new side just 3 days afterwards when Liverpool host Atletico Madrid at Anfield. The Merseyside derby at Anfield then follows that encounter.